Porcelain wares, such as those similar to these young Alara porcelain flasks from Jingdezhen, were often presented as trade goods during the expeditions. British Museum, the treasure ships had an enormous cargo of various products. Admiral Zheng returned to China with many kinds of tribute goods, such as silver, spices, sandalwood, precious stones, ivory, ebony, camphor, tin, deer hides, coral, kingfisher feathers, tortoise shells, gums and resin, rhinoceros horn, sapan wood and safflower, for dyes and drugs, Indian cotton cloth, and ambergris, for perfume. They even brought back exotic animals, such as ostriches, elephants, and giraffes. There was so much cobalt oxide from Persia that the porcelain center Jingdezhen had a plentiful supply for decades after the voyages. The fleet also returned with such a large amount of black pepper that the once costly luxury became a common commodity in Chinese society. It has been said that there was sometimes so many Chinese goods unloaded into a single foreign port that it could take about 3 months to price everything. The treasure voyages resulted in a flourishing Ming economy, while boosting the lucrative maritime commerce to an all-time high. Imperial proclamations were issued to the foreign kings, which meant that they could either submit and be bestowed with rewards or refuse and be pacified under the threat of an overwhelming military force. Foreign kings had to reaffirm their recognition of the Chinese emperor's superior status by presenting tribute. The treasure fleet conducted the transport of the many foreign envoys to China and back, but some envoys traveled independently. Those rulers who submitted received political protection and material rewards. During the Hongui reign, the situation in the Malay-Indonesian world was viewed with a negative attitude. However, the treasure fleet came to dominate the Malay-Indonesian sphere via Java, Sumatra, and the Malay Peninsula. In Ceylon and southern India, the treasure fleet forced the political situation of the region into their favor, while making the maritime route safe for commerce and diplomacy. In 1404, the eunuch envoy Yin Qing was sent on a mission from Ming China to Malacca. A year later, during the first treasure voyage, Admiral Zheng He arrived at Malacca to formally confer Parmesvara's investiture as King of Malacca. Malacca's ruling house would be on friendly terms with Ming China and collaborate with the treasure fleet. The Ming recognition and alliance was a factor that ensured stability in Malacca. Malacca prospered and gradually came to replace Palembang as the regional trading center. The Yongle Emperor commissioned Shen Du to make this painting of the tribute giraffe, presented by Bengal on September 20, 1414, Philadelphia Museum of Art. The Taizongshilou entry of August 12, 1406 noted that Chen Zihui and Liang Daoming sent envoys to the Ming court, possibly while Admiral Zheng He was commanding the treasure fleet through Indonesian waters to return home. Liang Daoming sent his nephew Liang Guanzheng, Zigandali, and Haji Muhammad to the Ming court. The Ming court understood that Liang Daoming was the leader of the Chinese community at Palembang, but ranked Chen Zihui above Liang as they saw Chen as the chieftain, Tumu, of Palembang, which was not an official Ming title. It is possible that Chen Zihui had hoped for official recognition by the Ming court, but it never came to be. Admiral Zheng He was informed by Shi Jinping about Chen Zihui's piracy, causing Chen to be classified as a pirate in the eyes of the Chinese authorities. During the first voyage, Admiral Zheng He established order in Palembang under Chinese rule. The Ming court recognized Shi Jinping as the Grand Chieftain, De Tumu, of Palembang after Admiral Zheng He had captured Chen Zihui. On February 27, 1425, according to the Taizongshilou, Admiral Zheng He was sent on a diplomatic mission to confer a gauze cap, a ceremonial robe, with floral gold woven into gold patterns in the silk, and a silver seal on Shi Jisun, Shi Jinping's son, who had received the Yongle Emperor's approval to succeed his father's office of Pacification Commissioner. The Taizongshilou didn't define Palembang as a separate country on its own right. During the second voyage, the rulers of Calicut, Malacca, and Kampa had made it a policy to cooperate with Ming China and gave the treasure fleet a series of bases from where they could operate during their travels. For the second voyage, one of the main responsibilities was to confer formal investiture on the King of Calicut. Early in the voyages, Ceylon was perceived with considerable enmity by China. Its rulers were even actively hostile towards the treasure fleet when they arrived during the third voyage. Coinciding with the first voyage, China was in war with Vietnam and was set on conquering it. Campa was an ally of China and in state of conflict with Vietnam, thus they received the support of China. In 1412, an envoy was sent to announce the death of King Gyathudin and the accession of his son Saifudin as the new king. In 1415, the Yongle emperor sent Ho Sien to confer gifts to the king, queen, and ministers of Bengal. Ho Sien was a grand director who had accompanied Zheng He during the second and third voyage. Ma Huan and the Mingxi described Aden as a Muslim country whose people were overbearing and whose ruler had 7,000 to 8,000 well-drilled horsemen and foot soldiers, thus the country was relatively powerful and its neighbors were fearful of it. King Ahmed accepted the imperial edict and gifts that he received from the Chinese envoys and greeted them with great reverence and humility when they visited Aden during the treasure fleet's fifth voyage. He may have hoped for military assistance against the threat that the Mamluk Sultanate posed at the time. Even though the fleet returned in the sixth voyage, Yemen fell apart when their slave soldiers repeatedly rebelled under the reigns of King Ahmed's descendants, Abdallah R. The Mingxi noted that Aden had sent a total of 4 tribute missions to China. In reference to the last expedition in connection to the Mamluk Sultanate, Ibn Takribirdi's account, dated June 21, 1432, recorded a report that came from Mecca about 2 Chinese ships that had anchored at Aden after departing from India. The 2 captains of the ships had written to Sharif Barakat ibn Hassan ibn Ajlan, Amir of Mecca, and Sad al-Din Ibrahim ibn al-Mara, controller of Jeddah, for permission to come to Jeddah, as stated by the report, since the cargo was not loaded off the ships in Aden due to the disorder in Yemen. The account noted that the latter 2 wrote to the Sultan about this, making him eager for the many Chinese goods, thus the Sultan wrote back that the Chinese may come to Jeddah and are to be treated with honor. Several African nations sent ambassadors who presented elephants and rhinoceros as tribute to China. The final tribute mission from Malindi was in 1416, but it's not known which local products were presented to the Ming court. According to Zheng He's 2 inscriptions, Mogadishu presented zebras, huabulu, and lions as tribute to them during the 5th voyage. The inscriptions also noted that Brava presented camels and ostriches as tribute during the voyage. Aden had sent tribute giraffes on the 5th and 6th voyage, but the one on the 5th never arrived in China. Bengal also sent a tribute giraffe, although it was said that it was a re-export from Malindi.